Hello everyone, this is a 97 Ford F-150 XL. This one has a 4.2 liter motor, and from what we can tell is there's no seafoam like gooey stuff, but actual black oil in the engine reservoir bottle. We also have a transmission engine rear main seal leaking. We also have water pump leaking. So on this truck, I'll be tearing this apart to do a lot of work. So I will start by taking out the intake manifold, exhaust manifold, some of the accessories in the middle, and remove the cylinder heads and get the head gaskets out. Send the cylinder heads for a crack test, make sure they're clean, and then get them resurfaced, install them back on. That's all. To get to the intake manifold, we're going to take out air intake tube, disconnect the sensor, disconnect the vacuum line. Right here. Alright, got this guy out. You can start by removing 3 bolts holding the coil pack down, and then disconnect that. Remove your throttle cable and the cruise control cable. Then you're going to come down here, remove bolts, and free this mount bracket here. There's one here and there's one back there. You're going to take that out and free it. And then you have to remove some of the vacuums here. There you go. Now there's one vacuum line right back there. We got to get to that one. And after you have done that, you got to disconnect some of the plugs. Now there's a harness here that goes down behind the alternator. You're going to disconnect that and just put it aside completely. It plugs into this. And disconnect any plug you see. So what we're trying to do is free a manifold, so when we can get the manifold out. When the manifold unbolted, there's 8mm bolts down here. You can see them. Then we can lift the manifold forward and disconnect some of the hidden stuff back there. Next, I'm going to take out the radiator. So there's a 10mm bolt here, 10 here. You're going to get the radiator mount disconnected. Down here, you're going to disconnect the reservoir bottle here, lower radiator hose, and the hose that connects to the reservoir bottle here. The radiator hose goes right here, the bottom of the water pump. You're going to disconnect the upper hose. So what I did is I opened that drain pin, drained the fluid out as much as I can, and then the rest of it came out from the lower radiator hose. Now I have a tool that I used for the radiator clutch fan. If you get anxiety every time you look at the clutch fan, this tool is very useful. It can take out the radiator fan in a matter of seconds. So I will put a link down. Here's the tool I used. It has many different types of wrenches in there. It got all different adapters to work with, and it actually saves me a headache. I had a mindset that you can open them up with anything you have. Yes, there is a way to open it, of course. You can try your way, but I used to do that, and then I figured out it's not worth it. This tool set cost me around 50 bucks, and it was well worth the money. Saves me a headache every time. So now I'm going to pull the radiator out and get to the accessories. I'm going to take out this belt, serpentine belt on this one. So it's 15mm. Pull it up and slide the belt off. So you can slide the belt off from the upper tensioner, which is right here, the smooth pulley. Take it off. Now if you don't have the sticker on your radiator cover, plastic cover, which is normally right here, then you can look for the rotation, mark the rotation on the video, pause it, write it down on the paper, or even if yours, mark it down on the paper before taking it out. Next, we do have to take all this front accessories out. I'm taking the cylinder heads off, and I have to do the head gasket. All these accessories have to come off. Now there is a huge bracket, this aluminum bracket holding all this in place. If you can get to the bolts, take out the entire bracket. If you can't, you got to go one at a time. Same goes for the AC compressor. You have this bracket holding. You can take this off. I'm not going to disconnect the AC system or the power steering pump. I'm just going to unbolt it and let it rest on the side. And then I know for sure water pump leaks. I will be replacing the water pump. Get to this bolt rack here. We're going to need to take out this tensioner idler pulley here. For this, you're going to need the socket set, star head, there you go. After that, you can get to the bolts back here, the 15 millimeter. So I got this one out. This right here is a painstakingly slow process because these bolts are behind the power steering pump pulley. You got to use open wrench for these two, and there's one here. This bracket mounts onto these two bolts of the water pump. So without opening these, you cannot get to a water pump. Anyway, once you get them out, this is all loose. Right now I'm going to disconnect the water pump and put the stuff on the side. Once you get the upper intake manifold out, this is the view of the lower intake manifold. And what you need to do next is disconnect a sensor here, your sensor here, remove your heater core line, which is connected right under here, and it's connected there. You're going to put them aside. Next thing you need to remove is the fuel return and fuel feed. I use this tool here. If you connect it this way, you got two different fittings. You flip it and connect this way, you got two different fittings. So this one provides 4 different fittings. For me, it worked on this car. After you get that removed, remove your fuel pressure regulator lines here, vacuum line for the EGR valve, disconnect these plugs, disconnect all your vacuum actuators, and put aside. You don't want them in the way, it'll crack. And further now, I'm gonna remove the 8mm bolts holding the primary plenum here. We're gonna remove that. Once you get these outside bolts out, then you have to remove the inside bolts that you can see. This light is the useless light. The world's worst light. So you can see this bolt here. There's more bolt in here. 1, 2, and 3. On this side you have one under the water pocket there, coolant drain, coolant there, and there's one back there. So once you got that one disconnected, it should be pretty straightforward to take it out. If you have not disconnect the EGR flange, disconnect that one. You should be able to lift the intake manifold out of the way. After you remove the primary, this is what it looks like. You'll get to this part. So this engine seen better days. You can see the coolant right there. This engine is filthy, man. I'm gonna take out the cylinder heads. To do that, that's another battle. You gotta remove the exhaust manifold. Oh yeah, this light is a perfect light. Don't ever buy this shit. Anyway, these exhaust manifolds, you can get to the bolts from here if you want, or if you want to use a gun or something, you can take out the fender liner and access it from there. I'm gonna go from here, take out the plugs and take out the manifolds. After that, I'll take out the valve covers and then remove the cylinder head bolts and get the heads out and look inside, see how it looks. I removed the exhaust manifold bolt from this side. It was extremely easy. I didn't have to take out the dipstick, nothing was in the way. Got that out. Now you have to remove the rockers out of here, out of your way. Loosen all these bolts up. There's 4 here and 4 up front. Loosen those up, and then after that you should be able to take them off with your driver here. Got it? Okay, now let's take the bolts out. They're not... Next you can take a pry bar and pry it right here to loosen the cylinder head in place. There you go. Here we are. Go. So this side of the cylinder head looks like has an issue here, and that side looks like, I would say right there. So I just got all the surface cleaned up, put new head gaskets on. Just got my cylinder heads back from the resurfacing. Did a pretty good job. Both cylinder head got cleaned up, resurfaced. So this one doesn't have a lot of issues, but that one right there does have one area right there and right here. So when you are cleaning the surface of the block, it's very easy if you take these out. It's easy to clean it up. And also take an air blower and blow around the piston ring area. Make sure to clean it all up. There's nothing in the way. And let's put the cylinder head back on. You can line those old pins up right nicely. Sits nicely. Now if you put the head gasket on, and this is either too much on this side or too halfway in here, you need to flip the head gasket until you get a perfectly smooth edge right here and smooth edge on the other side. That is the proper way to get the head gasket on there. Here we go, both heads are on. The customer actually got new head bolts, so we're gonna work with the new head bolts here. Here we go. Once you put all, so the longer bolts go up here, the shorter bolts go right by the exhaust side, and you can hand guide all the bolts. Just as much. And then there are 3 steps of the torque. You can do 36 pounds. So how you would do this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And torquing is pretty simple. You just make sure you get your wrench set up to 29, and you do a 1 continuous movement here. Perfect. Move on to the next bolt. There you go. Perfect. Next bolt, my 29. Next pass I'm going to do with 36. Principle is the same. If you don't have this type of torque wrench, you'll have a mechanical one. What it would do is it would click when you reach a torque point. So do not try to jerk the torque wrench or move too quickly. Move slowly, let it do its job, and you will notice when you reach the torque specs that you set up, it will click. You move on to the next bolt. Once you have done the first process, 3 steps, the next step will be we're going to open each bolt at a time, and you're going to turn it back. Basically, we're removing the stress out of the bolt, because for the final step, we're going to retorque it. So first, as soon as you're done loosening the bolt back, you're going to first torque it to 36 pounds. Ah, I missed. Perfect. And then after this, we're going to turn the bolt 180 degrees. Now you could do 2 ways. You could do 90 degrees and then 90 degrees again. Because the engine's in the car, you're not going to be able to do a full 180 degrees over here. So once we get the intake manifold back in here, the shorter bolts are up here, longer bolts go in here. The longer bolts are about this long, so you're going to use those. And then remember, you have a 1 bolt all the way back here that you got to tighten up. And after this is all connected, we're going to install the upper intake manifold, plug in all the vacuums, and install all the vacuum solenoids back in. I did not unplug my solenoids, but if you had, you should have marked them because you know which one is for what. There's a metal plate holding it, so make sure you connect that one. This right here is loose, and that's due to the fastener right there on the exhaust being not connected right, so I'm going to tighten that one up. Alright everybody, so the truck is all put back together. I was able to connect the upper manifold with all the bolts that I showed you how to remove. Connect the wires. This is the orientation if you forgot. Once you remove that clip, there's only one way it can be installed. The wires are marked onto the ignition coil. So you got 1, 2, 3, and you can follow them. And this is being your 1, 2, 3. And then right here, you have a firing order on the coils different. Instead of it says 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, it says 5, 4, 6. So you're gonna bring 6, 4, and 5. So you're gonna connect that way. That will connect your ignition coils. Double check all your vacuum lines. This vacuum line that comes from the top of the valve cover goes into the air intake. There's a vacuum line that goes back to your PCV valve. And then right there, you could see those vacuums is only PCV valve vacuum, and then 2 of them are engine coolant lines coming out of heater cores connected back into the that little valve back there. So that's something you have to remember to put them back together. Another thing is right here, you have a EGR hoses going into this, and plug this back in. So once you have connected all your EGR settings, EGR valves connected, this guy I had to put a new water pump, so you can see you got a new water pump on this. I also showed you the tool to use for the clutch fan, which makes things so much easier. Next thing you want to do is check your oil level, and then also check your coolant level. Make sure your coolant level is good, which this guy looks good. It's dirty, so I will be cleaning up the bottle. Check your oil levels. Injector's got new O-rings on this, and I think that's about it. Check all your clamps are tight before firing the truck up, and I think we got everything connected. I just connected the battery back up, and let's go fire this thing up, see what we get out of this truck. Yeah, okay. Head gasket is like a freaking brain surgery, I would say, or yeah. Shoot. Let's see what we get. Okay. everybody. So I don't see any hesitation. And idle is, oh, there's no RPM here. No check engine of any kind. I'm just gonna turn it off right now. So there's no hesitation, there's no check engine light. If I accelerate very slightly, I don't see any problem with the RPMs. So there's no vacuum leak, I don't hear any hissing. If you have a vacuum leak, there's one vacuum right below this, and it goes out and spirals into two, and one goes to the back of the manifold, and the one comes up and connects. Does it spiral into two? Yeah, spiral into only two. Yes. So one goes to the back of manifold, and one has a PCV valve that sits on the valve cover. So you're gonna do that. Make sure that vacuum line is corrected. Mine was corroded, so I did replace those. Another thing you want to double check, honestly, is all your solenoids and their vacuums, like these solenoids and their vacuum lines. Make sure there's no leak. Easy way you could do this: get a vacuum gauge, put at the end of this each valve, and try to vacuum. If it holds vacuum, you're good. If it doesn't, check the leak before you start up your truck. That could be your number one issue. And alternator plugged in, belts are all connected. There weren't a lot of bolts in front, so that's what I connected whatever is left. Radiator is connected by a clamp here and clamp here that you saw. We need to take that out and connect it back in. And of course you have transmission cooler lines on this side of the radiator. Make sure they're connected and not leaking. Now you will need to connect these before you're putting this cover back on. The lower one and the upper one connect after you send the cover back on, then connect the top one. That makes things a lot more easier and they don't get in your way. Double check all your clamps, make sure you didn't forget any. In my case, looks like I did, which is right here. This needs to go back on there. That's the heater core clamp. I'm gonna go ahead and clamp that back up. And I think this about sums it up for a head gasket. If you are doing this first time, I can give you one advice. Be patient. And of course I didn't show you how to open things, but I did show you what you need to open. Because if I start showing that stuff, video becomes lengthy, unnecessary, because you have to open these things. And of course, if you don't know how to open a screw, you shouldn't be repairing your truck or your vehicle. So I point and I show you where things are and you can open them. I also have shared a sheet of the head bolts torque specs and the direction you have to, in order you have to do that. And I also have a link that shows the torque specs for every single bolt from head, cylinder head all the way to the top of the manifold, including ignition coil, spark plugs, valve covers, intake manifold, primary and secondary, and so on. So if you have a minute, go through that, print it if you want. This will help you a lot. And I think that's about it. Thank you everybody for watching. I really appreciate it, and hopefully this has given you some valuable information and to do this work for you. I did end up cleaning and painting these things for the customer. He did pay for it, and I think it looks better in my opinion, and he'll be happy the way everything turned out. It didn't take long, maybe 2.5 hours to clean primary and secondary intake manifold. They're full of oil, timing cover, valve covers, and paint them up. So I use brake cleaners for this kind of work. It works magic. You can do whatever you like for the cleaning. Appreciate everybody. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next video. Please like and subscribe. It would help. And see you. Bye.